It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday matinee to you both, Steve, Andy.
Good morning. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Oh, I hate you so much.
So I've had this realization that I'm much more of a morning person than I am an evening person, and I have my dad to blame for that. So
I find that hard to believe.
yeah,
You're the one who is so alert at night when we are recording the shows.
except those times when I am asleep at the computer and forget to actually jump on the call. Like
you know what's funny about that is that happened more than once.
I think it's only happened once. Has it happened more than once?
It has happened more than once.
Oh my gosh.
It's happened more than once. But the thing that's happened most often is we're gearing up for the show and I'm starting to type at you in Discord and, you write back saying, oh my God, I've been asleep for 45 minutes. Hang on, let me get my stuff in order. That's happened multiple times. I can chronicle that. But how you doing? Everybody good?
Yeah,
I'm good.
We're better than you sound. Yeah. Is it the earliness? Is it a seasonal thing? Is it that you're in the dark part of the year? Okay.
Well, all of those things have happened. But I got hit with the crud last Sunday, and I mean, I have been down for a week. I have missed really 4.5 days of life because of it. It's just nasty. So if I break off if I go dark for a little bit, it's because I'm in a mad coughing fit, and I apologize in advance.
That's okay. We will try to forgive you.
I will, however, report that I caught up on a lot of Bad Mirror.
Okay,
Bad Mirror.
There we go.
Black Mirror. I watched all 3 Taken movies. I watched Chips. It was sick week for show.
Chips is a perfect sick movie.
It is a perfect sick week movie. And I didn't connect with it as much as I wanted to, but I sure do like that Dax Sheppard. He's a fine gentleman.
I do too, and I really appreciated that he went out of his way to make all the stunt work, like real stunt work. Like they did all full on stunts, and that made me happy to see.
And the bike work was great.
Yeah, right.
And D'Onofrio was, that guy is just creamy icing on any project.
He really is.
He does. And he just really is right now. We're at peak D'Onofrio right now in his career. I thought it was Men in Black. I thought that was it.
But before that it was Full Metal Jacket.
Exactly. I thought it's just this guy, he just keeps going up. Is there no end to the D'Onofrio coaster?
I hope not.
What a ride. So that's my week. What do you guys have to report?
Do we touch on the Globes since we predicted them last week?
Yeah, Golden Globes. The Golden Globes happened. They did.
Can I just say, Queen? I got my Rami Malek. That's really all I cared about.
I just was really surprised that it won Best Picture drama. Although I did finally see BlacKkKlansman, which I really enjoyed. I would still put If Beale Street Could Talk probably as my top pick. But the 4 that I saw, I mean, BlacKkKlansman, If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born, Black Panther, all fantastic films. Yeah. So I hope I like Bohemian Rhapsody as much because it's got 4 really strong films to contend with in my mind.
Yeah, I think you'll be disappointed. I don't know. I really enjoyed BlacKkKlansman.
Well,
and if you're saying Beale Street is better than, I can't imagine Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, it goes into expectations, I guess, with that. But
wait, it was Bohemian Rhapsody one that you saw?
No, but I'm just.
So you didn't see it?
I
you can't imagine it.
I'm looking at how much I really enjoyed BlacKkKlansman, and I'm not a huge Spike Lee fan. There's, I'm very picky about his filmography. There's just some stuff I'm like, that's just not for me. I know that this one was really solid, and for Andy to say If Beale Street Can Talk tops that, then for Bohemian Rhapsody, that would have to be like a 5.5, 6-star movie, and that doesn't exist because I only start with 5.
Well,
that doesn't exist. According to Letterboxd, you can only get 5.
Where do I go?
I'll tell you, I was surprised that it won Best Picture, and that was one that I enjoyed seeing because I liked the movie, but I still contend that movie is even more of a movie for fans of the music, like fans of the band. And I am a fan of the band, so I went in predisposed to loving the movie. I don't think it is as generally great an award-winning Best Picture as it is an award-winning Best Performance by a lead actor. I thought he absolutely deserved the role, the award. I don't think the movie did. So, I'm with you, but
yeah, my wife said it was a very vanilla movie. She said it felt very safe all the way through.
It was absolutely safe. There were areas where you can actually hear tires screeching at the hard left turn away from controversy that this film takes as you're watching it. And it's just in some cases you walk out and you feel good, and a half hour later you realize you're grinding your teeth real bad. And that's the feeling you get. You're like, why did they not push any buttons or any boundaries? And it's because it was produced by the band. And there's a certain, that of course you expect that. So that's what I mean. It's a movie for fans of the music and of the band, their experience with the band. And if you love that stuff, I think you love the movie. And I also think that's probably why it won Best Picture, right? I mean, it is the safest pick. I don't know. I haven't seen all of them, but isn't it the safest pick of the set?
Black Panther, I'd say, is pretty safe. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think Star is Born is pretty safe.
Oh, yeah.
If Beale Street Could Talk, I think is pretty safe. I don't know. I guess it just depends. But it does seem to be kind of the most straightforward, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say I was very disappointed in People in general, again, when poor little Elsie Fisher tweeted with genuine excitement, that it won Best Picture, and then completely got just steamrolled over by the Twitterverse about what an idiot she is for being happy for that to win. That just makes me sad that people can be so mean still, and and she had to, people were trying to explain to her all the issues with it, and she had to apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I'd rather just people, just tell me what I don't know instead of getting so mean. And she's a young teenager, and people just made me so mad.
It's okay, but I don't know how often you're on the Twitter, but I think Brie Larson sort of stepped in and turn that around with that never meet your idols photo of her with Brie Larson, which I was like, it made me so happy for both of them. That's why it's like the antidote to the internet, when people go out of their way to be good people and are reaching out to people and bonding and being positive. So yeah, I just
absolutely
love things like.
I didn't see that, but I'm glad glad that happened. All right, guys, Green Book. Were you happy that one won?
No, I can't. I like that movie so much less now that
it will always be Gold Globe award-winning movie, Green Book.
Yeah.
And I think that, you guys, some people, I think, Steve, you posted one, and then I think Nick posted another on our Discord chat about some news that had recently come out after its win about Peter Farrelly having to apologize for some flashing that he had done in the past, and the writer having to close his Twitter account because apparently he had been making some anti-Muslim remarks post 9/11. All of that had come out, and now some people are saying, you know what? Its chances for getting a nomination at Oscar time might have just faded away.
Yeah. But none of those things should be surprising to anybody.
Well,
Peter Farrelly, this was in the incidents were from shooting Something About Mary. So would it surprise anybody that that's something he would be doing? No. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Yeah. I mean, the stuff that he had been doing in the past and tweeting about and talking about it was so long ago in the past, and obviously he's grown and changed as a person. And that's like saying people can't grow and change, except Kevin Hart, who apparently seems to, keep the wall up saying, stop, I'm not going to change. But otherwise, I think it's interesting that it is something that just kind of keeps coming around.
Yeah.
It's gross. It's gross, and I want to go back to the Golden Globes though, because it's frustrating that all this is what it like. I'm frustrated that our perception of the movie wasn't shared by a lot of people, because it's just something that I see so clearly, and I don't think it should be the filmmaker's personal poor decisions that. That
it should be the film itself that's preventing it.
The film itself should not win an award because it made some poor turns, and I knew those guys were of course there was stuff that comes up because there's always stuff that comes up, and so yeah, I don't care for it.
Well, I'm curious to see it, and I definitely want to see Crazy Rich Asians, which is higher on my list. But of the three that I've seen, I still would have picked The Favorite as my favorite. So, well, I'm curious if Crazy Rich Asians is going to have the legs to actually garner an Oscar nomination. Like, of these 10 films that were nominated for Best Picture at the Globes, which of these have the legs to actually make it that next step? I wouldn't be surprised if all 5 of the dramas get nominated. Of the musical or comedies, I would think The Favorite, maybe Vice. I don't know about Mary Poppins Returns, and I don't know about Green Book or Crazy Rich Asians. But I'm really curious if Crazy Rich Asians is going to have the legs to kind of bump it up.
Yeah, the Academy's a funny group, and that just it would. There's something. And maybe it's got to be hitting video release soon, so that may create that second wave of attention for this. And it's a movie that surprises me because when you think Oscar, even though we've got 10 films now, usually there's still it's got to be something that really, really stands out. And maybe this will hit just the right timing for people to remember that it's a really successful film. It's really unique. It's something that wouldn't, even a few years ago, you wouldn't expect a movie like this. So yeah.
Well, it's been available since Thanksgiving.
Oh, it has?
So since
okay,
mid-November,
well, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Go rent it. Go rent
All
it.
Right. I'll go rent it. I will go rent it. See, for me, the biggest thing that I always forget, because he plays such great American characters, is how thick Christian Bale's accent is. We were talking with some friends about that. They're like, oh my gosh, I knew he was English, but he's like got a really, really thick accent. I'm like, yeah, he does. And you forget because how often do you hear him without an American accent in a film? I mean, just looking at everything he does. I mean, he did, he's Batman. JJ and I talked about him on Hostiles, playing American, Civil War era soldier cowboy guy, and he's playing Dick Cheney, like Big Short. When does he play someone with a British accent? I don't know if ever. When I think of
Empire of the Sun.
when he was like 12. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Can we talk about Marvel just a little bit?
We should talk about Marvel a little bit.
It's taken over Andy's brain.
Andy.
Is what is Marvel.
What have you?
Andy, are you eating Marvel cereals
right?
for breakfast? Do they have those? Because when we were kids, it was like if there was something, it would be like there'd be a cereal for that. I mean, is there not an Iron Man breakfast cereal?
Yeah.
Why has Marvel not cashed in on that thing?
Marvel would have to be changing it every 6 months. Like we'd be eating Captain Marvel Crunchies right now, and then we'd be getting ready for the Endgame O's.
No.
Which would be
so Infinity War would be like, why does this taste like ashes? Well, you just wait a couple of months.
It only tastes like ashes after you put it after it's in your mouth for a few minutes. It's like,
only when you pour the milk, half
Right.
of it turns to ashes. The other half stays the same. Come on, little Captain America shields and little Thor, hammers, and it's like Lucky Charms, but Marvel.
All of those things stick around.
Yeah. Right. Well, and the Infinity War
but all the little ants, they get very small.
Tommy would love that one.
They shrink in milk.
The Infinity War cereal would have the 6 little the Infinity Stones. Those would be the marshmallows for that one.
Oh, that's good. You guys, I thought this started as a joke, but we may be onto something.
Marvel, call us.
I've been trying to figure out a way. How are we gonna monetize the Marvel movie minute?
We need to
think we've just done it.
We need to make a T-shirt for each movie that is its cereal that we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
That's exactly
Steve,
right. Somebody get
work.
Joel on the horn because we need art. This is going to be it.
I love it.
Iron Man what? Iron Man Crunch? Iron Man. No, that's Hulk. It's got to be a Hulk Crunch. Something.
Yeah, Hulk Smash. Iron Man. It's got to be full of iron. It's got added iron.
It's fortified with
iron.
We should back up a minute and talk about why this is so amusing to us. Andy, what have you done?
Yeah, we're doing our Marvel Movie Minute now, which is a touch of insanity thanks to these all these crazy Marvel or Movies by Minutes podcasters, which started with the Big Lebowski as a film where they started that, but the Star Wars Minute guys really kind of took it and turned it into something massively popular and entertaining. And now, there's well over 100 different Movies by Minutes podcasts out there, and it just keeps growing. And we're now one of the many, but we decided to take on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is probably the largest chunk, the largest franchise I think that anyone's done. So, and they keep growing. The Marvel team keeps growing their franchise faster than we'll be able to keep up. So, yeah. So this is a lifelong. We'll be doing this till we die, I guess. Should be one thing. One thing to mark. On our tombstones, I guess. There you go.
A couple of answers to, let's just say, FAQ questions that have come to us. Are you doing every minute or just your favorite minutes? Andy?
I love that.
Of each movie.
Oh, yes. We're doing every stinking minute. Every stinking minute.
Okay. And Andy, how often are shows released?
We're doing 5 shows a week, Monday through Friday. And I think we decided for Patreon, our Patreon members some of them can get access to the Saturday Matinee. And eventually, if we get enough supporters on Patreon, we'll start an additional weekend show. But that's down the road.
That's
right now, 5 days a week.
That's so far down the road, I don't even remember talking about it.
It's way down there.
Yes, 5 days a week. And the Saturday Matinee is included for everybody who is a patron. Thank you, patrons. And so we hope that you enjoy the vast back catalog that is in your personal RSS feed attached to your Patreon account. If you sign up as a patron, hit the bricks. Go to the beginning. There's lots of them in there now. Lots and lots.
Indeed. And I would think that there are some where we've probably at least mentioned Marvel. Obviously, we hadn't jumped onto this bandwagon from the beginning, but here we are now.
We have, thank you everybody who has jumped in and given us kind reviews for the new show in iTunes. One more FAQ question. This is the first time that a Next Reel sort of property, that we've split it off as its own show, as its own feed. So you do have to go into your podcast app of choice, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Radio Public, whatever you're using to listen to shows. You'll have to go subscribe new. You're not going to get this the same way you get the Film Board or Trailer Rewind, which all come through the main Next Reel feed. So if you're confused about why you aren't seeing Marvel Movie Minute shows in your feed, that's why. It's a new show. So please subscribe. Thank you to everybody who has left us kind reviews for the new show in these podcast apps, particularly Apple Podcasts, reviews that come in a short short period of time. So as the show is new, if you jump in and give us a review, if you're interested in helping, if you like the show, reviews that come in a short period of time really help the show get noticed. That's how the algorithm works. So if you like the show, if you're interested in helping us out, or leave us a review, and we deeply appreciate it.
Hear, hear. And speaking of Marvel, did you guys watch the new Captain Marvel trailer?
Oh, you know about me and trailers.
You're gonna be a hard one to have these conversations with, man.
I did watch the first one, and that's because, well, what is this thing? And now that I know, yay, I'm excited about this thing, I will enjoy some surprises and stuff. So
it's I've been the Star Wars Minute guys were actually talking about this and had a good point about how all of these things with trailers and stuff, it's just another way to build your excitement, and so I look at all of this as just a way to kind of continue my enjoyment and just to really, really have a great time with all of these different things and the theorizing and everything. But Captain Marvel is a superhero I knew nothing about. And so watching, trailer 3 just came out this past week, and it's good. I mean, it's very interesting. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this, because Brie Larson looks typically badass, and learning more about the Kree and everything. I'm excited to see what's going to happen and how all of this is going to end up tying in with Endgame.
Yeah. It just got dark. Are you guys still hearing
I'm still
me?
here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I really like it, and I'm very hopeful that she that my sort of enthusiasm for her performance here lives up to my enthusiasm for the potential for her to sort of replace, speaking of Cousin Oliver syndrome, to replace Captain America as kind of the central figure, the heroic figure of the Avengers. Because, I know his contract has been up, and I know he's, looking. He's said publicly he's looking at moving on, and so I'm hoping that she can really step into that role as being an Avengers, central figure and leader, and that the glue holds up for the team. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm really curious how that is going to work, and yes, you're right. Knowing that a lot. I mean, I think the original 3, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth, I think all of their contracts are up.
Yeah.
And
so is it, and he's Robert Downey Jr. His contract was up a long time ago. He's been movie by movie for I think the last 3 or 4, and that he's been in, and so it's I feel for Marvel. Like, it's got to be hard having created these stars and knowing that they're just fatigued. That there comes a point when you've got to rotate them through.
Well, and at least with Captain America, that's one that they have some flexibility with, because eventually Bucky is going to kind of step in. And when they had him sign a contract, it was a 9-picture deal. So he's got quite a number of films left, and so could easily, after Endgame, he could easily step into the Captain America role for a little while.
Yeah, right. I would still love that to be a Brie Larson kind of a thing, though. I would love to have that role filled by Captain Marvel.
You mean actually Captain Marvel becoming Captain America? Or you just mean being one of the key points? Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Right. I was like, that might be a little odd. Captain Marvel America.
I'm glad you clarified. I was not clear.
I'm interested because I always look at who's bringing this to the screen, who's realizing this vision, because I think they've always found the right team to bring each picture. Someone that's passionate, that's got some specific vision for this. And I don't know anything about Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. I'm looking at that and I'm like, those are not names that stick out to me. But then as I dig in, okay, I see they're a team that have worked on quite a few things, smaller things. So again, this is as we see Marvel not picking, well recognized known names, but actually, those sort of successful middling, people. I keep hearing about Mississippi Grind. I have not seen that, but now I guess that's something I want to check out to see what their films are like, how they manage a film, and what sort of their voice of because it seems like they're a collaborative team on quite a few things, and you don't see that a lot. But when a team works together really well, I think they can pull off some great things. And anybody that can, how did I miss Mississippi Grind? Ben Mendelsohn, Ryan Reynolds, what?
Yeah. We did it as a trailer pick. I'm surprised you guys haven't done it on Trailer Rewind at some point.
All right.
Yeah.
That's on the list.
Put it on the list, man.
Maybe it's not streaming. Maybe it's not out there in the digital realm easily to find. I don't know.
I could have sworn I saw it on Canopy.
It may be. Oh, is this? Wait, you're right. Is this an A24?
No. It was before A24 came around. I think. Probably not, but it wasn't A24.
It's out there.
Well, it's out there.
That's something to
see where it is.
Check it out.
Well, should we move forward? Should we jump into our trailers?
Andy, it was A24.
All right.
USA theatrical release, A24, 2015.
Ha! I didn't say anything as you beat me to it, but
that's what IMDb is telling me.
That's so funny. I totally do not remember that being an A24 pick. That's so interesting.
Well, that's before we were...
Oh, well, I guess I'll have to see it. Yeah.
Well,
no, I think that was pre-Saturday Night.
We've only been doing this for like a...
Yeah.
It was pre-something.
It's pre...
Thank God it was pre-something. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, we ended up picking a trio of Netflix trailers. So
I think we should do this in order of release date. So the one that gets released first, that one should go first, and because it's 3 consecutive weeks. I looked at the release dates on these.
What the odds of that?
We've got 3 consecutive weeks for people to enjoy our trailer picks on Netflix.
So who was first? I think Pete's was first, right?
Oh,
was it?
All right.
No. Is Pete's
the 18th?
First? Who's got
January
the 18th?
That's yours.
That's Pete.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, I've got Sam is one of the last survivors on a post-cataclysmic Earth. She's a young scientist dedicated to finding a way for humans to adapt and survive rather than abandon their home planet. So Anthony Mackie's in this movie. That's why I clicked play, because I saw his head on the thumbnail, and I'm in for movies like this. This is kind of an I Am Legend. It starts with kind of an I Am Legend thing. If the world is gone, but mysteries ensue. It's got a good look to it. It is an exciting thing. I like seeing him in something that doesn't have wings, and. She's Margaret. Is it Margaret Qualley? I don't know much about Margaret Qualley, but I do really enjoy what she brings here. That it turns out there is, you may be surprised to hear there's a mystery that she gets to unravel over the course of this movie, and I think they make an interesting pair as they move across the barren landscape of the evacuated Earth. Good sci-fi elements, great production design. I think it's going to hinge on the performances if they can make it, make the world believable. But I thought it was pretty cool, and it drops, very, very soon. So, what'd you guys think?
I thought it looked super cool. I like, excuse me, I like just the vibe of this post-apocalyptic world that they've created here, where it's this toxic planet, and these two are supposedly two of the last few who are surviving. And I found it to be just a really interesting vibe and tone and look. And it piqued my curiosity. It's something that I am interested in checking out. And just Anthony Mackie, I always enjoy. So.
It's a nice small cast, too. I mean, Anthony Mackie, Margaret Qualley, and Danny Houston, and that's it. Like, it's just 3 people in this movie. That's all that's credited.
And is that telling that, like, now we know kind of more about how it's ending? Because they're trying to get to other people.
Yeah, right.
Or Well, I don't know, because she talks about her father, and so it could be flashbacks.
Yep.
It could be flashbacks. And I enjoy, sci-fi films like this with a small cast. And this is something that, 5 years ago would have been, Sci-Fi Channel thing, and it would have been really low budget. And when you have an interesting concept like this, and you've got a budget to get some good actors in there, I think it can sometimes elevate a script that, a few years ago would have been, it's just another one of those made for sci-fi, cheesy, low budget things. It's got a couple people. So there's not a lot that, to do, budget wise. You can throw in some cheesy, outdated CGI in there, but this one looks like something I'm going to really enjoy because it is that concept of the world's ending, but it's focused on these two characters and their little journey. And those are stories I really enjoy seeing, because if the writer gives us interesting characters and some interesting dynamics between them, we can have a really fun journey with them. And that's what I'm expecting out of this. All the dressing of whatever the concept is about the world end, the toxic zones and all of that, it could be, it could be anything. But this one, I think I'm going to, next Saturday after we record our SatMat, I may just sit down and watch this one.
And it's a trailer pick, so you could get JJ to watch it too. I'll bet he would watch this one.
He would, but he won't watch it on a Saturday morning. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Come on, kids. I'd like to show you what the world looks like when it's about to end. You can watch your cartoons later.
That's right.
All right.
This is important news.
So who's next on the calendar?
Well, I guess that would be me.
That's Andy. That's Andy.
I am, we talked about good old Mads Mikkelsen with his new film, Arctic, coming out. And it just was fitting that we do another Mads Mikkelsen winter-themed film, because this week I'm talking about Polar. I don't know what this guy is doing with his career, but it just is hilarious that he's doing these two particular movies, and they're coming out relatively close to each other. Polar is based on a graphic novel written and illustrated by Victor Santos, and it was a webcomic and series of graphic novels featuring international hitman Kaiser Black. Inspired by a lot of action and noir fiction. And it was in its original release, it had a very highly stylized design and a complete lack of dialogue. And I guess when Dark Horse picked it up to do the graphic novel publications, they did add speech balloons in it. But that really piqued my curiosity. I really would love to check it out and see what it looks like in its original form. But now they've made a film adaptation, and Jonas Åkerlund is directing it. Who we've talked about Small Apartments as a trailer pick a while back. I still never ended up checking that one out. He's mostly known for directing music videos, just tons of music videos, and still very much directing music videos for a lot of big people. U2, Keisha, Lady Gaga, Metallica, Sigur Rós, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Madonna. I think that the Ray of Light video that he did for Madonna is one that really stands out for me. Only 7 film credits, and this is the most recent. And I've not seen any of them, so I don't know what to really expect from a Jonas Åkerlund film. But still, the look of this, the vibe of this, and of course Mads Mikkelsen as the lead is just very exciting as this world's top assassin that's trying to retire. But apparently the employer firm that he works for has this policy that when you retire, instead of giving you the retirement money they plan on giving you, they kill you so they can keep the money, is kind of what it sounds like. And he's not too game with that plan. And especially after he befriends Vanessa Hudgens and pretty much goes to town on the bad guys. So Catherine Winnick, Johnny Knoxville, Matt Lucas, all are in this as well. I just thought it looked really fun. And of course, Mads Mikkelsen. What do you guys think?
I think that that array of guns laser controlled by his laser pointers on his fingertips made me want to see this movie. Everything else, I thought, oh, look, it's John Wick in winter. And then I went and looked at the John Wick poster from the first movie, and it looks exactly like this one.
Just not snowing.
And that made me say, meh. But then I saw the fingertip guns array, and I took it all back, and I said, Mads Mikkelsen, I love you. And Vanessa Hudgens, you were, what happened to you since High School Musical? But I'll still watch this movie, and I will watch it in 2 weeks. Yes.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
The first half of the trailer, I was very meh. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, it's John Wick. But then we start getting... because it has just a very, bleak, dark look to it. And then all of a sudden we're getting scenes that are like brightly colored. So I don't know what is going on in this world where I'm getting, as I expect, he's up in the cold Arctic and it's dark and gritty and grimy. But I want to know what's going on in this movie where we've got these like brightly colored, like cartoonish, I don't know, sequences. I'm curious what this thing is really all about, because I thought it was going to give me one thing, but now these little scenes that I'm seeing here in the trailer lead me to believe there's something else. There's more to this movie. I don't know if it's flashbacks. I don't know what is going on. So I'm curious to see it for that. I don't need another John Wick. I love John Wick. Fingertip laser guns, yeah, okay, that'll be a fun scene, but I'm really curious because there's enough in this trailer to intrigue me to see what this larger story is going on, that it's there's something more visually appealing to me in this trailer.
Like we said, it is released on Netflix on the 25th, but I just found you can go to the website polarcomic.com, and it looks like you can kind of go through the entire webcomic still there. I'm looking at page 1. It's just from January 2nd to 2012.
Wow. Sweet.
Yeah, it goes through. It has all the stuff for the first 3 seasons of it, all the different chapters and everything, and tons of stuff. So anyway, there you go. If you want more info about that story. All right, Steve.
Okay. Things are getting crazy with Jake Gyllenhaal and his big glasses. February 1st brings us Velvet Buzzsaw. This is written and directed by Dan Gilroy. You may remember his little film with Jake called Nightcrawler from a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, excellent.
So I am interested to see what craziness he's bringing. This is a story of delving into the art world and someone who discovers some paintings. Gentleman in her apartment dies, and they find all these paintings, and it's really intriguing to the art community. But then they start realizing there's something more to these paintings. They move. They, as we see in the trailer, apparently reach out and grab people. There's some supernatural force that has been given life, and perhaps it's because this artist used actual blood in his painting. But we've got sort of a supernatural mystery thriller here in the art world, and we've got Jake Gyllenhaal as a art critic. We've got John Malkovich. We've got Toni Collette and Mr. Gilroy's wife Renee Russo, and this weird little film about art, I guess. So that's what we can look forward to start off February. Velvet Buzzsaw. What do you guys think about this weirdness?
It's funny. As soon as the trailer started, because I'd never heard anything about this. I saw the trailer start, and Jake Gyllenhaal, just the way that his performance was, I'm like, this has to be a Gilroy film. Like, it felt like it. And then I saw Renee Russo, and I'm like, oh, totally is. It totally is. Like, here's Dan Gilroy back at it. And I feel like this Gilroy family, they make such interesting films. I still missed Roman J. Israel ESQ, but for the most part, when these guys are involved in projects, I just feel like whoever it is, whatever they're doing, I want to see it. And Nightcrawler was just such a masterful film and just an amazing story with incredible performances. This looks it went from a really interesting like art world story to all of a sudden like a crazy horror movie film. I'm like,
Yes.
what just happened here? But it still looks super intriguing. Really fascinating world. I very much am looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think I am. But as you can imagine, like it goes. There's this line in Dan Made a Maze where he says,
Dave.
"You come home and Dave Made a Maze. You come home and there's a cardboard maze in your living room, and you say, what? That's wackadoodle crazy." And I've been saying that a lot. And that's what I said about halfway through this trailer. This is wackadoodle crazy. What has Gyllenhaal gotten himself into? Because it comes right off the rails. I thought this is a taut thriller. An artist used blood in wow, that's great. And then fuzzy arms reach out of the mirror and grab no, that's not as great. And so it was weird, and it became the kind of horror movie that I'm not as into. And so I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think it'll be a good film. I don't think it's one that I will like. It wasn't made for me, so we'll see. But it looks thrilling. What I will say is, I think this is an enormous opportunity for Jake Gyllenhaal to do something, to really amp up his performance credibility in a new and interesting direction. And he's always doing new and crazy interesting things. I think this is a great one to have on his credits, because he looks like somebody you'll want to watch in this movie. So
yeah, well, February 1st, we got a nice little trio of Saturdays or Fridays or weekends lined up here for Netflix, and it still baffles me, this business model of theirs, where I can't imagine that any one of these films in itself, based on what it costs for them, they're going to recoup that by new subscribers joining. I've got to see IO. I've got to see IO, and we're gonna sign up for Netflix just for that, or for Polar, or for Velvet Buzzsaw.
Yeah, none of these are HBO's Game of Thrones.
But I love that these films are being supported and being made, and that we've got a venue for them. But I just don't understand how Netflix makes this business model work, because it's not like putting it out in theaters where it's like, oh, people show up and we make money off it. It's like, well, subscribers haven't changed. We're still making the same amount of money, and we're throwing a lot of it into original content. So I don't know what magic bucket they have that's generating money for them for all these films, but I'm enjoying it.
I think Netflix had a model that it was basically a Blockbuster and an HBO model. So they had a much bigger base of subscribers than HBO did.
Oh,
and
sure.
so I think that's been kind of largely a thing that's helped them out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But and I mean, just the amount of content they crank out, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And my kids, I mean, that's where they watch all their shows, and they're growing up in a totally different world where they find a show they enjoy and then they binge it, and all as many seasons as they can, and they'll just kind of plow through it, whether it's a fictional cartoon, or a narrative show like a Disney Channel type of show, or like a cooking show. My daughter's way into watching these cake shows, and she'll just plow through seasons. And I think it's an interesting model that they've created that is really allowing for people to just dig in. So you're right. I don't think that just a movie like this is necessarily going to say, oh, I'm totally signing up now.
Yeah.
But they've done enough stuff where I think they're giving people the options.
These are the halcyon days, boys. When who would have thought 20 years ago that one day we would wake up and say, my daughter, she just loves these cake shows. Thank God Netflix exists to deliver these cake shows. I mean, exactly. Seriously.
Or who'd have thought, you could say, gosh, I really enjoy this show, Cheers. I wish that I started watching it from the beginning, but at least I can watch it from here forward. Only to say one day, obviously syndication, but still, it's like this point where, I think I'll just lay in bed all day and watch Cheers for 12 straight hours.
Right. or as the millennials appear to be doing, rediscovering Friends from season 1. Like that's that was a highly controversial thing when they were going to pull it, and everybody freaked out. So let's do lists.
Let's do our lists. So I'm going to venture a guess, Pete. I'm going to say that Rachel may turn into one of our least listened to episodes because I just don't think it's a movie people are going to seek out very much.
Well, I'm not sure we sold it all that well.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one.
As enthusiastic as we should have been, probably.
But for the film which we talk about this week on the show, Paul Newman's directorial debut, featuring his wife as the star, our options were actors directing, coming of parentheses middle age, and morgues. And our listeners voted on actors directing. So it was a little bit back and forth, but that's where we landed. That's what we're talking about. Who wants to kick it off?
I'll go first because I've got one that is, I'm hoping, a guaranteed steal, and I'd like to get it out of the way.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Do it.
It's one of my favorite examples of an actor who goes on to direct, and I do it in honor of Andy Nelson.
Oh, dear.
That is Jon Favreau in Iron Man. And Jon Favreau directs. He also directs himself in Iron Man, but he was at first an actor, and he went on to direct Iron Man, and now we're talking about it at exhaustive detail. And so that is my homage to Andy and MMM with the honorable Iron Man first pick, Jon Favreau. You may continue now.
Lovely choice. It's a steal, but it's okay. It's okay.
The dibs pick.
I will forgive that one. Steve, do you want to go next, or shall I?
Go ahead. I'm curious to see what direction you're taking.
Okay, so I was actually for mine, I was trying to kind of find a way to define it a little bit more for myself, because as you dig into looking at actors directing, you realize, damn, there's a lot of actors who direct. Is like everyone. And so I tried to limit it in a few ways. One, I was trying to find people who didn't kind of come right out of the gates as like, hyphenates, actor, director, producers. I was trying to eliminate those a little bit and try finding people who started as actors and then maybe moved into directing later. And I was trying to find people that didn't just like direct one thing, like Charles Laughton or something, saying, "Oh, there's my one thing." So with that, I'm going to go for my first pick. I'm going to do a film that really worked well for me back in the late 90s, Eve's Bayou from 1997, that Casey Lemons directed. She actually started acting in TV back in the 60s, which I didn't realize. Actually, maybe the 70s, but 60s or 70s. She started a lot earlier than I realized. And then I first saw her in, what was the movie I first saw her in? Probably Vampire's Kiss, Pete, and then Silence of the Lambs and Candyman. And then in 1997, she directed this amazing film that I instantly fell in love with, called Eve's Bayou. It was her directorial debut. She's directed a few other films, but that's the one that for me is the standout film. It's a really powerful film about a family living in the Louisiana Bayou area, and this little girl, Eve, who witnesses something with her father that kind of turns into this potentially disastrous secret, and just kind of the way that it unfolds is really just a masterful film. I love it. That's my first pick, Eve's Bayou.
That was so great. And Eve, the girl who played Eve, I think she was like 10 or 11 when she did that movie. She was just great.
Yeah.
Just great. And Samuel Jackson, right? He was he was in that was a terrific film.
Yeah.
I too found that there were so many that I had to find a way to filter this down to something that meant something for me. So I had to dig through, and Andy's sort of the same thing of like, when you think of a actor that's directing, I was trying to find somebody established career that was well known as an actor. So stepping in directing for me was somewhat, for some of them, I don't want to say a career risk, but it was like, okay, everybody knows this person can act. What have they learned? Can they really direct? So that's sort of the approach that I took of like, they're gonna stretch themselves. They're gonna test themselves in some new waters here and see what this does for their career. And are they going to be successful as a director, or is this going to be maybe their directorial efforts aren't as solid as their acting efforts? And for order, I'm just going to go with the IMDb star rating because I can't decide. So I'm going to start us off with a 6.7 on IMDb.
I love this strategy. I need to start doing this.
Came out in 1991. So watching this trailer was a little painful because trailers just looked so different, or the ones that are surviving on the internet are the oddest trailers ever. I don't know. But this is a story of a single parent trying to raise her young son, Fred. And Fred is a genius. This is Jodie Foster's film, Little Man Tate. And I remember seeing this in the theater, gosh, this was before I was married, before I had kids, and looking at the struggles of a single parent trying to raise a genius child and the adventure that Fred has of finding a community of geniuses and social awkwardness, going to college, all of these things, written by Scott Frank. This was early on. I think I'd just seen a couple of years earlier, Dead Again from him. So
good.
Yeah, so this is my first one from Jodie Foster, Little Man Tate.
That's a one that I don't remember that well. I remember enjoying it, but I can't remember much about it. So it was one that I was tempted to put on my list. I just was like, gosh, I don't remember it well enough to justify that.
It's one that I think is, if people haven't seen it, this is, and to make it truly an oddity, rated PG. How often do you see movies, with a PG rating nowadays that are actually not targeted at kids? This is, kids may enjoy this. I don't know, because it's tackling a lot of things. I'm sort of thinking, I don't even know if my kids have seen this. But I think it's one that, as I was digging through, I thought, I really enjoyed this. It probably should be revisited. And IMDb tells me it's available on Amazon Prime right now.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, needs to be revisited. All right, my second pick. I didn't really think about, I didn't really narrow my, criteria here based on anything that you guys have been talking about. But I did go by sort of my emotional reaction to Paul Newman as an actor, and and what he brings to the screen as a director and an actor in his performances. And so my second, I go with an actor who has. He's directed a handful of films. He's got, 8 credits, but 6 of them are feature films. The other 2 are TV directorial credits. But his actor's credit, he's got 89. And his earlier films were much better. They have been deteriorating over the years. The film I'm hanging my hat on is Good Night and Good Luck, directed by George Clooney. It is a 7.5 on the IMDb 6-star rating scale. And so I feel very comfortable in saying that this is a movie I'm quite a fan of. I love the performances. I love the style. And of course, the performance of David Strathairn is just terrific, as Edward R. Murrow. So I really like this. Now, Clooney has deteriorated in terms of public, I think, fandom of his movies, and we're kind of we didn't like Monuments Men. That's what I'm trying to say. I was trying to find a delicate way to say it, but Monuments Men didn't do well for us, and that's one of his more recent. But it
that just killed it for him, didn't it? He heard you guys didn't like it, and so he said, "Fine, if Pete and Andy don't like my movies, I'm not doing it anymore."
Exactly, and then he went and made Suburbicon, and that's like the middle finger to the critics. Like, that movie just didn't even hit 6 stars. Leatherheads in 2008 was a 6-star. Ides of March in 2011, I actually quite liked Ides of March. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, I thought Sam Rockwell was great.
I loved that one,
as Chuck Barris. I thought that was terrific. That was 2002. You know what I'm saying? Like, the early 2000s were great for George Clooney. So let's celebrate that. That is the kind of feeling that I get from him. I think he's I think he's a talented director. I'd like to see him do more, and I'd like to see him do more in the vein of those earlier films.
Did he direct Men Who Stare at Goats, or was he just in that one?
No, he did not direct Men Who Stare at Goats.
It's funny because of the films that he has directed, like Leatherheads and Suburbicon, I always feel like he directed Men Who Stare at Goats, because it just seems like something that George Clooney would probably end up directing.
No, that was Grant Heslov, which is interesting because he co-wrote that with Good Night and Good Luck with Grant Heslov.
Right,
so it really feels like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So
they're like producing partners.
Yes.
So that's probably why it has that feel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a vibe. So there you go. George Clooney, that's my number 2.
Excellent. As you may know, I have been watching through the chronologically the films of Robert Redford, and I am it's a long list of movies to watch. He's acted in 48 films, and I'm watching films that he's been involved in as a director and producer too, but as long as it's not just like an executive producer type of thing. So it's a long list of movies. I'm still mired in the 70s. I've got quite a ways to go still. But in 1980, he started directing. Now, he dabbled in producing in early 70s when he was executive producer on The Candidate, but he didn't do anything else with producing features, and he didn't direct until 1980, and that started with Ordinary People, or as we learned in the Fisher King, the porn version, Ordinary Peepholes, which I never tire of. This film, it's a kind of a quiet film. But it is a really powerful film, and I remember watching it for the first time, and I was much younger, and I was much closer in age to Timothy Hutton when he played this character, and I just felt really connected to him and the relationships that he had with his parents, played by Mary Tyler Moore and Judd Hirsch, Mary Tyler Moore and Donald Sutherland, and then his counselors, Judd Hirsch, and just dealing with the aftermath of the death of his brother that he kind of has this heavy guilt with because his brother drowned while they were out on the boat together. It's an incredibly powerful film that I just found to be very effective. I really loved it. A lot of people give it a lot of guff because it did win the Best Picture, and in 1980, beating what some people say should have won Raging Bull and Martin Scorsese. But, Ordinary Peoples, I just want to say that now, Ordinary People is a very affecting film, and I think Robert Redford, I think he is a strong actor who knew how to get some really incredible performances out of his actors. So that's my second pick.
I think that's a great pick. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
I have a hard time commenting on it, other than, man, does that feel like a Robert Redford movie? I guess that's not.
Well, it's very much of that era. I don't know, it has that certain feel to, the serious movies that were coming out.
There's a straight line between that and Old Man with a Gun.
Oh.
I don't know what that means.
They're in the same cinematic universe.
Yes,
there we go.
The same cinematic universe. That's right. We should do Robert Redford movies by minute next. As soon as we finish Marvel.
As soon as yes.
You've got an endpoint though. You've got an endpoint there.
That's right.
You know that.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, Steve.
Oh, all right. Coming in at 7 stars. This was I think maybe one of the first time political satire really connected with me, because I was at that age where I was now voting, so paying a lot more attention to what was going on politically. So when Tim Robbins threw Bob Roberts at the world, which is a story of a conservative folk singer getting into politics and running for Senate, and to me just a hilarious comedy with an amazing cast with, of course, Tim Robbins as Bob Roberts, Giancarlo Esposito, Alan Rickman, Ray Wise, Gore Vidal, Jack Black is in here somewhere, James Spader. It's an amazing cast. It's one I have not seen in forever, but I remember just laughing so hard at this film and really enjoying it and realizing, wow, Tim Robbins can write and direct, and he's pulled off something that for me was really unique at that time, and it still has this great place in my memory. I have not seen it in a long time, but I just remember loving how much fun this movie was to watch.
I don't remember feeling that the word fun came out of my mouth when I watched it, but I do. No. I actually really liked it, but fun was not the word. Like for me, it was like, damn, he's not holding back. That was my impression of it. I was I found it to be quite a strong film, and I was like, if he keeps it up like this, he's gonna be making some pretty amazing films, and I think he has. I mean, I know his body of work is all of 3 films, 2 of which I think are just masterful films. So yeah, great pick.
Okay, my final pick is, this was a hard one. I went with a director who has. He's got 125 acting credits and 18 directing credits. Only 6 of those credits are feature films. The rest are TV or shorts. The films that he had done up to the movie that I chose were not movies that would have caused me to think about him in this category. And in fact, only one of them, well, I guess there's several of them are over the 6-star rule. Most of them are. In fact, there's only one that is below, and that's at a 4.7. But the other ones, they're just, every single film he's done has been, to my eye, appreciably different than the last. And so it's hard to get kind of a tone for what this director delivers. For me, the movie that just landed. It's one of my very favorite movies of all time. It is a 7.3 on the IMDb scale. It is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, directed by Ben Stiller. I loved this movie. I loved this movie hard. I just absolutely connected with it. I connected with his performance, but in terms of the tone and the style of the film and the message that he was able to get across, and the visual tricks and tropes that he used to actually communicate this very difficult message about this man who's going on this internal and external journey, just really moved me. The other movies that he did, the other one most close to that on the IMDb scale is Tropic Thunder, which is totally different than Walter Mitty, and it's a 7. Yes. And I loved that movie. I thought it was just fantastic and awful and just funny and incredible. And Reality Bites was probably the first movie that I found touched me as a member of a generation. That was news to me, that, here's a movie that's written just for me, and it's at my age, and that was interesting. And then from there we've got Zoolander and Cable Guy. Cable Guy, again, what an amazingly different presentation than any of the other films that he had done. And so I think Ben Stiller has a wonderful toolkit, and I love when he directs, just because I don't know what I'm going to get, and I hope he does. I hope he gets back into the feature director chair soon.
Family favorite here.
Yeah.
In our house. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely here too. I just love that movie. So I'm right there with you, 100%.
All right, Andy.
And sadly enough, I didn't have that on my list. Like, what was I thinking?
I don't know. I can't believe you let me get to number 1.
Yeah, well, for mine, come on. You know my love for Tom Hanks. Why? Yes. How could I not have this list without throwing Tom Hanks in here? And actually, I had 2 great options, but I'm going with That Thing You Do from 1996, which it's not a favorite of mine, but I think that Tom Hanks, who wrote and directed it, had just so much passion for the music scene from the era, and did a great job of telling this story of this one-hit wonder band from the 60s, kind of riding on the coattails of the Beatles, and did just a great job kind of creating the tone and the mood and the characters. And it is a very enjoyable film to watch with a great soundtrack. I had such a great time with it, and I thought Tom Hanks did a great job. I mean, unfortunately, he's gone on to direct Larry Crown, which is one of the worst things that he's ever done in his entire career. But at least he has this. So I give him credit for that. That's my final pick, That Thing You Do.
That was for me, that was one of those high stakes decisions of like, okay, Tom Hanks, can you really direct? And for me, yeah, he delivered it.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's our list this week.
Wait.
Actors directing. This is a good set of picks. The only one that didn't make my list, which really, I'm surprised, Andy. I kind of left it for you.
Well, don't we have one more?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
It's
Steve.
okay.
Steve has one
Like,
more.
wait a minute.
No.
I do.
Yeah, you do. I have one more blank on my list here. Steve, I'm so
You do.
sorry. I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay.
Maybe this is the one. This is the one that I was surprised at. Go ahead. Bring it.
Well, we'll see. Because
Make it rain.
I'm surprised that I'm surprised it's a 7.5 on the IMDb scale because I think this movie is a little. It's not controversial, but I think it's some people love it, some people don't care for it, and one of the reasons that people throw some, I don't know, I don't want to say hate, but have some criticisms of this movie is because it is often cited as the origin of a film trope, the manic pixie dream girl. I'm talking about Garden State, which I saw in the theater, and this was Zach Braff, well known from Scrubs and coming out and telling a really odd story, a personal odd story, I believe, about a young man dealing with coming home for his mother's funeral and sort of reconnecting with family and friends and his little emotional journey. It's an odd film. It's one that I enjoyed. I don't know that I'd say I love it. I am surprised it's at 7.5 on IMDb, but it is one that if people haven't seen it, I'm going to encourage them to go check it out because I think it does have some great moments to it, but that could be just my memory because this was 2004 and it was a very different world back then.
My memory of that movie is actually much better than I think the collective cultural memory of it, too.
Yeah.
I actually remember having a good time with it. A lot of that, I think, was fueled by the music. The soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful mixtape of the early 2000s. I'm kind of with you. I thought Natalie Portman was fun in that movie. This whole manic pixie dream girl thing, I don't get.
It was a movie that I enjoyed, but I didn't love. I never quite connected with it as much as I wanted to, which is frustrating because I actually saw this at its premiere at the LA Film Festival and actually talked to Zach Braff. Weirdly,
is this the name dropping portion of the
This is the name
show?
dropping
Good.
portion of the
I just
show.
want to. Good. Okay.
So yeah, but it was a weird moment. I'm like, gosh, I wish I liked it more. But oh well. I didn't say that to him, but it was just one of those moments where I wish I did like it more, so I could have felt better about the fact after when I was talking to him. So anyway,
I remember this came out right after Shattered Glass, which was another Peter Sarsgaard film, and that he played Chuck Lane in that movie, and that was one of my favorites at the time. I mean, it told a terrific story. So I was already I was way into Sarsgaard, and I remember seeing this. I was like, oh. I kind of wish I was watching Shattered Glass again, but I did. I liked it. I enjoyed it. So I've never talked to Zach Braff, so just so that's out there. So that is officially the list. But I have to say, I can't believe that this one made it, and that is in honor of this is my bonus in memoriam pick, and that is Big from Penny Marshall.
That was
it's
was
a
on
Tom
my
Hanks.
list.
Yeah,
that was the other one I was torn. I'm like, do I do his film or do I do a film that he was in with Penny Marshall? And I opted to go that route. But Big was definitely one that I had written down.
Yeah. I mean, talk about an actress who made an incredible turn. I mean, she's great. I don't like all of her movies, but I think she was incredibly talented and great to have represented. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, that's the list. What are we doing this week?
Romeo and Juliet. We're looking at Shakespeare. So, what do we want to talk about? I mean, it seems like Shakespeare adaptations should be an obvious choice. It'll probably be the one that no one picks.
Yeah,
right.
I guarantee. It's the safe pick.
Okay.
You got, warring families, you got that.
Yep.
How about teens playing
romance?
Teens playing
teen romance.
Teens playing teens.
Teens playing teens.
Teens playing teens.
I don't know if that might be too. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that goes against the whole CW model of making things.
Yeah, right.
Well, luckily, CW is not producing movies yet. But.
No.
What did we get? Teen lusty romance? That was the thing that drove Andy the most crazy.
Lusty teen romance.
Yeah.
striking too close to home for him now? Is that what's going on?
Yes.
It's right around the corner,
Welcome to
Andy.
the now, Andy.
Yeah.
Oh God, no. All right, so Shakespeare adaptations. Are we doing family? What was it? Family battles.
Warring
Family.
families.
Warring families. Yeah.
Do we want to do teens? Lusty teens?
Yeah.
Teen
We do
romance?
Lusty teens. Yeah. Lusty teen
Lusty
romance.
teen romance.
It seems like right up Steve's alley. I mean, every trailer he picks is basically this category.
It's almost as if he started doing Saturday Matinee so that he could do this category one day.
He's like, finally, my day
Born
has
to
come.
do this.
So we do 10 movies, right? That's how we do the list.
Oh, you can just do the whole thing. We'll just listen. All right, so that's
wait.
our choices: Shakespeare adaptations, warring families, and lusty teen romance.
Right.
Love it.
Fantastic. We'll get that on the Show Talk channel, everybody, and you can get your votes in.
Thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. Happy weekend. And thank you for supporting us on Patreon. We sure appreciate it. And it's helping us to do things like the Marvel Movie Minute and other great new shows. Steve, what is going on with Trailer Rewind? When are you coming back? You took a holiday break.
Yeah, we're coming back, and January got way ahead of me, and I'm like, oh wow, we're halfway through January.
Yeah.
JJ and I got to schedule some time, so it's coming back. It's just the holidays lasted a little longer than I anticipated.
And
so
I
we'll be
rumor
back soon.
has it that you're also working on some new 3 of a kinds.
Yes, those are still in the works. Still trying to finalize some of these lists for these 3 of a kinds. It's much more challenging than I anticipated, but yes, that is in the works, coming this spring-ish, I hope.
We've got 3 sets of 3 of a kind right here. Just today, actors direct. You
Yeah.
could just start. This is cherry picking territory right here.
We're
I
giving
feel like
him
we've
things
done
to
a lot
do.
of the work for you. Anyway, can't wait for those shows to come back.
Yes.
And thank you all for supporting this show, those shows. And thank you, Steve and Andy. Have a great, great weekend.
Same to you.
Hondo.